Betrayed by my company, forced to expose the truth, I had worked for Summit Tech for nearly 30 years. My name is Jessica Parker, and at 58, I was the senior compliance officer. Every day, I ensured the company followed every regulation, even when it wasn't convenient. My retirement was just days away. I had fought for that pension. But I didn't know that the company had other plans for me. The sudden blow. It was a Friday afternoon when Daniel, the CEO, called me into his office. The air was thick with tension. I'd worked with him for years, but today was different. "Jessica, we've decided to terminate your position," he said casually, sliding a folder across his desk. Budget cuts. It didn't make sense. Summit Tech had just posted record profits, yet here I was, 3 days from my pension vesting, fired without warning. "This is it," he added. "Sign the severance by tomorrow or you'll get nothing." I didn't flinch. No anger, no tears, just calm. They weren't firing me for budget cuts. They were firing me because they couldn't afford to let me have what I earned. The fight for what's mine. At home, I reviewed the severance papers. It was a trap. 3 months' salary in exchange for waiving all future claims. No pension, no health care, nothing. But I wasn't going to fall for it. For years, I had kept track of shady financial practices at Summit. Falsified reports, backdated certifications, all buried under the rug by the board. It was clear now. This was a cover-up, and I was the target, exposing the lies. I called my old friend Ethan, who used to work as a financial auditor for the SEC. He listened as I laid out the entire situation. "Jessica, this is bigger than you think," he said. "You're looking at securities fraud, and it's time to expose it." I spent the next 2 days preparing. I made copies of everything. The emails, reports, memos. I had documented everything. Ethan arranged a meeting with the SEC for the following Monday. No one was going to silence me. The company's panic. As the investigation began, Summit Tech was scrambling. Calls from Daniel and HR, all begging me to sign. I ignored them all. The desperation was clear. They knew they were about to be exposed. Then came the threats. Daniel even showed up at my door trying to get me to sign. "Just sign, Jessica, and we can all move on." But I wouldn't. I was done being ignored. The fallout. The SEC moved fast. The more they dug, the more they found. Fraud. Financial manipulation. The company had been overstating earnings for years, and the CEO's so-called budget cuts were just a front to cover up their lies. Within days, the board members started resigning. The stock price took a dive. And Summit Tech, once a leader in the tech industry, was now facing a full-blown scandal. The real price. By the time the dust settled, the company's leadership had been completely dismantled. Several executives were charged with securities fraud. I wasn't just the fired employee anymore. I was the whistleblower who took them down. I received a whistleblower payout, along with my pension and a settlement. Financial security for the rest of my life. But the best part? Knowing that the truth finally came out. Summit Tech's new leadership had to change everything. Compliance. Transparency. No more lies. They even sent me a letter thanking me for exposing the truth. It felt hollow. They only changed because they had no choice. A hard lesson. What hurt the most wasn't the betrayal. It was that I had trusted them for so long. For years, I had worked hard, sacrificed family time, and put my career first. And for what? To be discarded the moment I was no longer useful? But in the end, I stood my ground. I didn't just walk away quietly. I made sure they paid for their actions. What would you do? If you found yourself in Jessica's shoes, would you stand up and expose the truth? Or would you take the severance and walk away quietly? Share your thoughts in the comments below. What's your take on corporate loyalty and the price of doing the right thing?